Hello, everybody. I love that glass breaking at the end of that intro. I'm easily amused, but I think that's pretty freaking awesome. Welcome, everybody on the panel. Welcome to those of you who are in chat. Great to have you guys here. We have a pretty extensive video that you're going to see tonight, and so I don't want to speak very much because, well, first I just want to say hi to the panel. Jack, how's it going? I'm pretty excited.
Well, it's going better since I unmuted.
Yeah, for sure.
That's going good. Well, just been busy with 47 different things, and of course expecting over a foot of snow here in the next couple days, and bitterly cold. Finally, we've actually had a really mild winter here comparatively with what we normally have, but that's fixed to end abruptly.
Yeah, it ended here already. So whatever I have got, well, you probably are getting what just left me, and then you will be getting some more coming.
Mm-hmm.
It's been bitterly cold with probably 18 inches of snow in the last 3 days, I would say. It's been pretty crazy. So
yeah, it's snowing now, but this is just a prelude to what's coming. So it's not gonna really bother me unless the power goes out. Of course, we got a generator, but it's still a pain in the ass.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for being here, and thank you for streaming over on Foul Play.
I really
absolutely appreciate it.
You bet.
Okay. I'm going to save Kay for last because I need her to do something for me. And want to say hello to Cherie. I'm so happy to have you here and glad you're not buried in snow, or at least
we're getting snow, but I made it home.
Oh, good. Makes me nervous. Well, good. I'm glad to have you here. It was great to be on Case by Case's show with you on Tuesday night. So another great case. Case by Case. Her link to her channel is in the description of this video. So check her out. Subscribe to her channel. She's got an amazing, crazy, wrongful conviction story to share. Very, very interesting. And Susan, how are you?
I'm good. It's still like 55 degrees here, but we're going in the negatives here pretty soon, and it's getting cold. We're going to have a little bit of snow, but it's going to be cold. So I'll be staying in.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Well, even though I'm going to Vegas this weekend, it's going to be cold there. Not snowing, I don't imagine, but it's going to be cold. I'm going to be staying in except for when there's a soccer game that I need to attend for my granddaughter. So otherwise, extra Afghans and all kinds of stuff. It's cold out there. All right, well, great. Well, everybody stay warm best you can. Great bunch of people in the chat tonight. I really appreciate all of you for being here. All of your great questions and comments that you're making. The last video that we did for the Jannie Ligons trial testimony was a record for my channel. 965 views on that one video, and most of those were within the first 48 hours. It was amazing. and a record number 52 comments. I realize some of that stuff is small beans, even like compared to Foul Play and some other channels, but it was pretty epic to happen from one week to the next that it exploded the way it did. So thank you to all of you who are sharing it. We're also showing on Twitter, and so that could also have something to do with it. I suppose. I don't really know. Hopefully, reading trial transcripts as we get them will, bring more interest to the lies and inconsistencies and stuff with Daniel's case. So let's keep that momentum going. It's amazing. Excuse me. All of the documents are uploaded in Jannie Ligons' room in Discord. I suppose I should start pinning those to each channel because they tend to get lost, through comments and stuff. So I don't know, Jack, does that seem like the smart thing to do? Just pin them all in the rooms?
Yeah, absolutely. And that way they're easy to find.
Right. Okay, yeah. Okay, so all of that's there. It's ready. They're there right now in Jannie Ligons' room. I put also the testimony that we didn't read that's really very important for you to go read on your own. Otherwise, I have 4 or 5 weeks of, one accuser, and 3 or 4 of those weeks are dedicated to reading transcripts. And I know that can get boring just sitting and listening. Plus, you can open those documents, download them, make your own notes, find your own discrepancies. And, if you have questions, just ask us in Discord or here on the channel. And I try to pay really close attention. I really want to see the Discord start moving and booming and lots of activity in there. So go read, because there's really interesting testimony in Jannie Ligons from her daughter and her boyfriend that's going to completely contradict so much stuff. So do that. Okay, so this week we're moving on to Terri Morris. And I've asked Kay, my special guest speaker. She's always on my panel, but she is really always like a guest speaker for me because she's got so much knowledge and deeper knowledge about the case.
Oh God, knock it off.
No, I'm serious, you guys. If you really, she has a better insight, or she thinks of things differently that, deeper than sometimes my thoughts are just surface thoughts.
It's true. It's true.
It really is true. It really is true.
Okay, well, thank you.
You're welcome. So tonight, Kay is going to explain to you guys. She can't take a compliment. She's going
thank
to.
you.
I know you did. She's going to explain to you how the Terri Morris accusations are so critical to Daniel being framed as a serial rapist. It was something I had never thought of, and goes back to her ways of, her analytic skills, I guess, is what it comes down to. So I'm going to let Kay talk about that and explain to you guys what the Terri Morris accusation means to the case. Kay, take it away.
All right. So just backing up or going forward, I guess, really to the after hours traffic stop that Daniel made with Jannie Ligons on June 18th. So I tried to put myself in the frame of mind of what was the brass thinking? Why all those activities that happened after Ligons reported? Because there was just a flurry of activity. There were, so many people involved in investigating and looking for surveillance footage and all that. And I try to just think in that meeting of several of the brass met before Daniel came back in for his next shift that day later on June 18th. And I mean, I always think that they were thinking, oh my God, with everything that's going on around the United States, how is this going to look? How's it going to be perceived? You know, what are they going? They're going to dig up. They knew that Daniel worked a stint in gang units, so he was dealing with people who don't just voluntarily put their hands behind their back for arrest. So he had self-reported many use of force violations, like in the teens. I can't remember exactly. So he, you know, that's not going to look good. That doesn't sound good when people hear, oh, this officer has, I'm going to pull a number out of the air that I think might be close, 17 use of force violations. Well, yes, most of those were self-reported, and people don't know that use of force is anything greater than placing on the cuffs. And if you're working in an area where people don't comply when you give them a command and you're going to take them into custody, you're going to have to report a use of force in those incidents. And so he had all those, I think, were they thinking, oh gosh, this is all going to come up in the media. He had, are they going to find out that on May 8th, he stopped someone who later, on May 24th, in a 911 call, says that an unknown officer assaulted her, raped her, is what she said. That doesn't, it ends up being oral sodomy. It doesn't matter. I mean, sexual assault is horrible no matter what the charge, but I just think they were just thinking back at what all's going to come out on Holtzclaw, because they had already determined that it pretty much had to be him. And when he came in for his shift and they said, hey, did someone make a stop at 50th and Lincoln? Of course, he said, yes, I did, immediately. I think they were just afraid of perceptions. So Jannie Ligons' story, I mean, they had to know right away that, you know, for instance, she said, Jannie Ligons told the story, you know, he made me put my hands on the car in this specific location. He put his hands on the top of the car in this specific location. And then, you know, it didn't take them long to verify that there are no prints on the car. They didn't end up finding any prints or ultimately any DNA where she said. So that was false. But I think they were just thinking, what's going to happen if we can't pursue charges on this? Is this going to blow up? Is Jannie Ligons going to go to the press, which she did? How will we handle this? And so I'm going to start with a timeline of backing up from the after hours traffic stop, which was June 18th. I'm going to back up to May 8th, which is when Daniel Holtzclaw stopped Terri Morris, who was walking near Liberty Station Apartments. He had seen her come out of a known drug apartment that she lied and said was her aunt or something. Later found out that wasn't her aunt at all. So he had stopped her on May 8th. He called her in. We've heard the radio traffic on that in previous podcasts. And he let her, you know, she walked away. He questioned her about the apartment that she came out of. She walks away. So that's May 8th. fast forward to May 24th, when her former boyfriend, Christopher Shelton, makes a 911 call because, well, Christopher Shelton changes his story a couple of times about how he came to have Terri in his car. But one of the versions is that he saw her walk in, he picked her up, and he was going to take her to her grandmother's house. So she is either under the influence of alcohol or high on some sort of drugs. And she knows that Christopher Shelton has a new girlfriend, and she's beside herself. You can hear it on the 911 call. She's tearing up his car. He tried to take her to her grandma's house. She wouldn't get out of the car. They end up at a Valero station, which is a gas station in Oklahoma. A convenience store. They end up there where he calls 911, and when Terri realizes that the police are coming and that she's likely going to jail, she says at the end of that 911 call, "You called the same motherfuckers that raped me?" So when the police show up, the reporting party, Christopher Shelton, and Terri Morris would be the suspect. That never happens. It's never that kind of scenario at all. Instantly, she's the victim. Christopher Shelton's crime never gets reported at all. I mean, there's no documentation. She doesn't get arrested for destroying his property. 3 different police officers show up. One is Lieutenant Michelle Holland. Terri Morris tells her story about the rape, as she calls it a rape, but then she describes oral sodomy. She tells that very same story, that it happened near the city rescue mission. She didn't know the police officer. She hadn't seen him before. He drove the older style black and white car, which Daniel drove the new car. She even pointed out the black and white car that one of the officers had pulled up to the scene in, and said a car like that. So there was no question that it was the old style. And she tells this story to 3 different officers who write this story in their reports.
And when does she say it happened?
She says it happened either on the 20th or 21st. And so in the course of trial and the investigation, they did find out that she was at the city rescue mission on May 20th. So that checked out that she was actually in that area, which wasn't an area that she was in usually. She was usually in Daniel's sector. So, they take the report from her, and then she walks away from there. She walks away, and she walks on over to Christopher Shelton's. I guess she knows where Christopher Shelton's new girlfriend lives. So she goes over there, and a couple hours later causes another disturbance where the police end up coming back out again. They don't arrest her then either. She ends up spending the night with someone who lives in that apartment complex or whatever. And so this is Memorial Day weekend, and this is a Saturday, 24th. So this case, Michelle Holland comes to the scene. She's a lieutenant. So I guess that was the protocol. I don't know if she would qualify for being the superior who comes to the scene if a police officer is reported. I think it's actually supposed to be a sex crimes person, but nonetheless, Michelle Holland came to the scene, and she also came to the second call that night. So they do look into, well, Rocky Gregory gets the case assigned to him when he comes in on Tuesday, since Monday's a holiday. So May 27th, Rocky returns to work. He gets the case. They look and see, first of all, who have any police officers had contact with her recently. And the last officer to have documented contact with her was Daniel Holtzclaw on May 8th, the stop I told you about at Liberty Station Apartments. And then the previous person was Jeff Sellers, and I think that was like April 14th. So, we're not talking about May 20th or 21st when she was adamant that that's when the assault occurred. We're talking weeks earlier. So they also look at the police officer's AVL for that period of time in the location that she describes. And although police officers go by there because it's actually on the way to the county jail, no officers stopped there where she said. No officer was going slower than 25 miles an hour by there. So they cleared Daniel of it, and, they were going on about their business. They didn't, Rocky is going to investigate this, which he does. And I guess I'm not sure if we're going to see those police reports today, or I'm not sure what the plan is. I know we've looked at them in the past. And so he doesn't find her until, he doesn't actually interview Terri Morris the first time until June 3rd. And with the help of a confidential informant, they find her, detain her. She signs a refusal to prosecute. This is an interview that Rocky has with her, where, if any of you have watched former podcasts, she's sitting in the corner in the chair and she's scratching like crazy. And she doesn't want to be involved. She doesn't want to talk about it. She says she's moving to California. She signs the refusal to prosecute, and they take her back where they picked her up. So I was looking through the police reports, and interestingly enough, the day before, on June 2nd, Rocky interviews one of the officers that was at the 911 call where she alleged, that she had been raped by an officer previously. And Rocky calls in rookie Jonathan Thomas to go over some details about his contact with Morris. And he says this in a police report that he files June 17th, the day before the Ligons stop. Or the day before the after hours traffic stop. But I don't know, I just find that really interesting that when you read over the report that Rocky writes about his interview with this rookie cop, about his police report that he wrote, I haven't seen any other reports in this case where they go interview a police officer who wrote a report to interrogate him about their report. And at one time, Cherie had analyzed Rocky's report and Jonathan Thomas's like the differences between what Rocky said in a report and what Jonathan Thomas had in his original report. Because, Rocky wasn't there. So it's interesting to me that this little detail needs to be documented in the police reports. And for what reason? So June 3rd, they called Terri in. She signs the refusal to prosecute. And then that's it. They're done. Rocky doesn't, try to find her again and say, hey, have you changed your mind or whatever. And then June 17th, like I said, Rocky files this report. Supposedly he files it on the 17th. Now I have all these suspicions about fabricated reports and edited dates that they're entered. Because it all just seems so shady. So then on June 18th, Rocky comes in first thing in the morning and he files a detailed report about his interview with Terri Morris that happened on June 3rd. And he said he just did it that day because it was quiet in the office and he just decided that would be a good day to do it. Interesting that got documented after all that time. It got documented before they called Daniel back in. So the after hours traffic stop has happened in the early morning hours of June 18th, but overnight hours. Gregory comes in first thing in the morning at 8, files this detailed report about Morris on June 3rd. Then we find out later that Rocky's partner, Rob High, is the one who suggested to Rocky that, hey, Terri Morris, didn't you have that old girl that said an unknown officer, blah, blah, blah? Maybe you should look at that again. Even though they've already cleared Daniel Holtzclaw of that, that's what prompts Rocky to bring Terri Morris's file into that 2-hour interview and tell Daniel, hey, we've got this girl. She's making the same exact allegations here, and it doesn't look good. When that was complete bullshit. It wasn't the same allegations at all. It was wrong kind of car, unknown officer she didn't recognize, which she's been pulled over, or she's had contact with officers so many times that maybe she wouldn't recognize, but I think she would find some kind of familiarity with Daniel Holtzclaw just because of his stature. So now they're already starting to create a serial rapist thing. And I think they did that because they already know that there are no handprints on the car. Things aren't adding up. I think they're just they've decided to sacrifice this officer because they don't want to know what's going to happen if they say, we think Ligons is lying. Yeah, he should have turned his computer back on. He should have called her in, but her story's not matching up. At that time, all you were hearing in the press was how bad superiors were covering for bad officers. And I don't think they wanted to deal with it. So what happens? Jannie Ligons does go to the press on the 23rd. After hours stop is on the 18th. On the 23rd, without telling law enforcement, she goes. She doesn't have a name. She is in silhouette on the news coverage, but you know, she lets Oklahoma know that she was assaulted by an Oklahoma City police officer, and she just wants to make sure that they're not going to sweep it up under the rug. Now, next day, the 24th, Rocky Gregory has the same confidential informant track Terri Morris down again and detain her in the back of his police car. He goes, once they get her, Gregory and another officer, Higginbottom, they have a photo lineup put together, and they head out there and they question her. Rocky tries to get her to become a part of the case again. Higginbottom shows the photo lineup to her. She's very confused. She chooses an officer. Trying to think who the other officer was that she picked out. I can't come up with his name right now. And then she says, "Oh, I'm not sure." And then she chooses Daniel's picture and says, "Oh, I'm not sure." They don't put the officer's picture in who stopped her in April. And we later find out that he gets in trouble for having sex with women in the back of his police car, prostitutes. After Daniel was convicted, we find that out. That's right. Am I getting that confused with the other guy? Rhonda, had he already been? Did they know that already? And he was on
Sellers.
death?
Yeah, they knew about Sally. I just looked at Allie's name. And when I was going to say Sellers, I said Sally. Hey, Allie.
Okay,
yes,
so
they already knew. Sellers had already got their sex back patrol car problem.
Yeah, all the more reason to put his photo in the lineup. But anyway, she ends up saying, "I'm so confused. I'm not sure. They all look alike." And he says, you want to choose one? And she says, "No, I don't, because I'm not sure." Gregory tries to coerce her into becoming a part of the case again. He says his police report about this interview with Morris notes that he asked Terri Morris if the subject had stopped her before up by Liberty Apartments, which is where he knew Holtzclaw had stopped her. And it was documented, and they had AVL to that. And he had called her in. But she still stated the sexual assault occurred close to the city rescue mission. So he still couldn't turn her. She walks away from that scene muttering something like, "This is bullshit," or whatever. She was not happy. The very next day, June 25th, Ligons' SANE test comes back negative. Her oral wash swab and external mouth swab were negative for acid phosphatase. It's a presumptive test for seminal fluid, and negative for sperm. Only Ligons' own DNA was in and around her mouth. They also found out on the 25th that DNA from unknown females and 2 others were found on the fly of Daniel's uniform pants. Elaine Taylor, the lab analyst, she had swabbed the outside surfaces on each side of the fly. Those samples came to be 17Q1 and 17Q2. Both samples included unknown male DNA. No evidence of body fluid observed using a bright light and magnifying glass. No other areas of the pants or belt were swabbed for DNA to serve as controls. I mean, so this is suspicious to me too, that you're accusing this guy now of assaulting 2 women, and you think there might be more. So you're basically dealing with a serial rapist, but you don't use an alternate light source on the pants. Instead, you just use a bright light in your office. You have that tool, it's right there. You don't use it. I guess I don't buy it. I think they used an alternate light source. Anyway, next day, or no, here we are the same day. The same day, Michelle Holland finally files her police report from the 911 call incident on May 24th. So a full month later, she files her report. Now they're just like, now at this point is the quandary for them, because they can't get Terri Morris to become a part of the case. They don't have any evidence for Jannie Morris to be able to charge Daniel with just her allegations. There's no evidence that will support it. I don't know how she ever ended up being allowed to be a part of that case with no evidence, but many others followed. So it was Terri Morris. They really needed her to change her story so that it would look nefarious. You know, you've got this lady accusing him, you've got this lady accusing him. And so mysteriously, Terri Morris gets arrested for some trespassing charge that never gets filed, and there's no documentation on to this day that I can find. She's in the county jail. July 10th, Gregory and Muzny show up at the county jail. They say that she called and said that she wanted to talk to him some more. And I was going to go back and listen to that interview, but I feel like in that interview at some point she says, "How did you know I was here?" And then Rocky cuts her off because that doesn't jive with his story about her asking for them to come talk to her again. So I think they had her arrested so that now they can bargain with her. Now they can get her to change her story. They can offer her treatment. They can get her out of the dreadful Oklahoma County jail. So, yeah, so Gregory, let's see that. Yeah, that's July 10th. So they go up there, and Gregory says they went up there to obtain her DNA for comparison, to try to get a match for the DNA on the fly of the pants. Which is weird, because are they too stupid to know that the DNA on the pants is probably going to be someone from June 17th or June 18th? I mean, there can still be DNA on the pants after they're laundered. We know that from the Monica Lewinsky case against Bill Clinton. Her dress had DNA after it was dry cleaned. But, I mean, I think they're using that as a guise because they just want to get her to become a part of the case, which she does. And the Oklahoma County Jail has audio and video recording equipment that you just push a button. Although it sounds like Gregory brought his own recorder this particular day, because you hear him setting up the recording after he's obviously gone through the story with her. She's across the room talking to Muzny, and she's kind of going over her new story again. You can hear in the background. Gregory's on the other side of the room setting up this recording. Like, yeah, this is Detective Gregory here with Lieutenant Muzny, and Terri contacted us and said that she wanted to talk to us some more. And so Terri, and she's talking to Muzny, so she's not even listening to Gregory. Could you go over it again? And he's so dumb. Could you go over it again? Oh, well, yeah, okay. So what you're saying is you guys already went through this new story. And she says, no, that's it. That's it. And he said, no, I need to, get it. And so he makes her go through this story again that is 4 miles away from this story that she's been telling consistently to 3 officers and 2 interviews with him. So no less than 5 times has she told the same story without diverting from any details. And you hear her change her story to what they need her to say. And after that, that's it. After that, it's on. They just start piling on accusers after that. Anyway, I just think they used her so that they could say she was actually the first victim. And then they'd be able to add Jannie Ligons to the serial rape case. But Jannie Ligons couldn't be the first victim because there's no evidence to proceed with the investigation. And it would have just died right there. And that's what I think. Sorry, I can't give a short answer.
No,
And-
it's great.
and then
That's
they-
why
And then they created their list.
Right,
yes.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Muzny creates the list of everyone that,
Jack.
oh my God, it's like,
Sorry.
it's mostly Black women, but there were a few Hispanic. Like a Derek Gardner, she identifies as white half of the time and Black half of the time because she's mixed. But most of the women, I think 11 of the 13 were Black. Yeah, and these are all women that Daniel's pulled over. There's documented AVL of the stops, so they can just go back and look at his AVL and see, where he has enough time to commit a rape, and then they can just take that person and basically coach him. Like Gregory says, Kim Davis also says, these women couldn't say when this happened to them. And they tried to sell. I think the most telling thing is that if indeed law enforcement didn't pull Daniel's AVL, which is automatic vehicle locator data, the GPS from his car, showing his path, where he was, where he drove, where he stopped, how long he was idle, all these things. If they didn't pull that information until after the women had given their statements and said where these assaults happened to them, then they would have been happy.
That's what
to
they claim,
disclose.
right?
Yeah, that's what they claim, but they wouldn't give the information. They didn't. I guess Daniel's attorney didn't understand that audit logs exist in computer software like that, where you could have the IT guy pull a report of every time Daniel's AVL was accessed, his data was accessed, who accessed it. If Scott Adams had known to ask for that in that specific way, Daniel wouldn't be in prison right now. And I believe that wholeheartedly.
I agree. I agree.
Okay, I'm gonna have to mute and go get a glass of water. So
Okay. Thank you so much, Kay. Really appreciate you breaking that down. Yeah, because there's really a lot more to Terri Morris than what than what meets the eye, for sure. I'm gonna, while Kay's grabbing a drink, I'm gonna address a couple of questions. Justine says, "Why do you think they framed him?" Um, I personally believe it was a act of what's the word? What's the word I'm looking for? They were trying to preserve an act of preservance. They were trying to preserve their new city. Oklahoma City was in the process and had done a lot of work on the MAPS project and rebuilding downtown Oklahoma City and taking it from this old West kind of rundown cowboy type of town with beat up streets and buildings and things like that, and empty spaces with weeds and rundown buildings, and trying to make it better. And so they had been spending boatloads of money to do that, and they had gotten quite they had gotten quite far in that. And because there were racial tensions that were already at play throughout the country, but certainly, from people who lived in Oklahoma City at that time have told me that yes, Oklahoma City was no different than any other city in the country as far as race was concerned, because there was already a Trayvon Martin thing had happened, and which was the sort of the birth time of BLM, but then very shortly after, I think it was August 9th, is when the Michael Brown incident occurred in Ferguson, Missouri. So there were already racial tensions, and I believe that they just didn't want to take a risk that that an officer who was raping and sexually assaulting Black, poor, prostitutes, drug addicts in Oklahoma City, to just go unnoticed or left alone, or like Kay said, swept under the rug. That's my opinion. And I really think that in spite of Terri Morris's story, allegations, when that happened with Jannie Ligons, they were, that was already a fear that was coming to light in their department. And so that's my opinion, of course. And then Joffrey 3 says, did Ligons make this a racial matter? I believe that through her daughter, whose name is Marissa Ligons, her testimony for Jannie Ligons' part of the trial is also in Jannie Ligons' room. If you read that testimony, you'll just read in her words that she was very much in support of Black Lives Matter. And I feel very much like that she, when Jannie Ligons came home and was complaining that she got pulled over by a cop, I think a story kind of emerged from there. Basically, Jannie, most likely, in my mind, Jannie Ligons went home, was pissed off, maybe crying, maybe she was truly in fear for her life based on all of the, the racial problems with police. And she, very well likely was upset. But when she, presents that to her daughter, who is in support of BLM and very much involved in, that, she, I feel like a story was fabricated and emerged, and that's how the sexual assault became created. And we're going to see in this video, Brian Bates is going to talk about that a little bit, because he is going to talk about Jannie Ligons a little bit before he starts talking about the Terri Morris stuff. So just set this up really quick. This is part of episode 5 of Brian Bates' podcast. I just feel like it's the best thing for me to do when I'm trying to get the true and accurate information across to you guys, and especially to new people, paying attention to the case. Bates is the best place to go for the most accurate information. I just take from that, and then from what other documents and transcripts that I've read, to do these videos and these shows, because to do anything less than use Brian Bates' information is not doing Daniel's case any justice, in my opinion. So I hope that kind of answers your questions a little bit, at least for my. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, to reiterate what was said prior, Brian Bates was Daniel's investigator during his case. He first thought he was guilty, and after investigating everything, he supports him 100%, his innocence.
Absolutely.
And he's in law school right now.
Yeah. Yes, he hasn't finished the podcast series yet. He still has, I think he's got up to Shadarian Hill's story. And then I think he still has Adara Gardner's to get through before he finishes it, and then he is going to go into the trial itself. What's that?
He hasn't done Regina and Sarita either.
Or Regina Copeland and Sarita Bowen. Yeah, so when we do those, it is us really digging and trying to get the most accurate information, from what we can get our hands on. So yes, as far as Daniel having internet access, I don't believe he does.
He does not. But because he's in an undisclosed location under an alias, we've had a post office box in the past where his family collects the mail and then forwards it on to him. This has just become easier to do it this way. It's easier to attach photos that way. Yep. It's just easier for his family. So that's what it boils down to.
Right, exactly. Okay, so this video is about, I don't think it's quite 50 minutes long, maybe, but trust me, it is chock full of great information, and it is definitely going to leave you wanting to get more information. And because I made this video, well, using Bates, of course, I have my own, sometimes I have my own feelings, I guess you could say, my own opinions that I put in it in text. You'll definitely see those you'll recognize those when you see them. Those are just my opinions and feelings. I create the video, I made it. Nobody else has contributed to that opinion of mine. So if everyone's ready, I think it is time to play this video. And here we go.
When I left off in episode 4, 27-year-old Oklahoma City patrol officer Daniel Holtzclaw had been accused of sexually assaulting a 57-year-old grandmother named Jannie Ligons during an off-the-clock traffic stop. Only hours later, Holtzclaw was interrogated by sex crimes detectives Kim Davis and Rocky Gregory as their boss, Lieutenant Tim Muzny, watched from another room. Subsequently, Holtzclaw was placed on administrative leave and sent home. A forensic analysis of Holtzclaw's patrol car, surveillance video, and a scene exam of his accuser all came back with no evidence supporting the allegations. Regardless, both the detectives were of the opinion they not only had their man, but that he must be a serial offender. That opinion was only magnified when only days later, OCPD crime lab analyst Elaine Taylor contacted the detectives to tell them that she had found female DNA on the fly of Holtzclaw's uniform pants, and it wasn't from accuser Ligons. Only 5 days after her alleged sexual assault, Ligons decides to make her claims public by doing an exclusive and anonymous interview with a local TV news station. After Daniel Holtzclaw was relieved of duty and sent home to await his fate, Detective Rocky Gregory began to fill in Detective Davis on the Terri Morris allegations. You'll recall Detective Gregory questioned Holtzclaw about the contact he may have had with Morris and how she was, in Detective Gregory's opinion, making the same allegations as Ligons. The case into Terri Morris's allegations began in an early morning 911 call on May 24, 2014. The call was placed by 61-year-old Oklahoma City resident Christopher Shelton, a recent and former boyfriend of 43-year-old accuser Terri Morris.
Oklahoma City 911, what's your emergency? Hello? Hello? Hello?
I feel like a motherfucker and ripped my heart out and tried to put it back inside. I feel like
Hello?
Can
you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Where are you?
I'm on 23rd and Kelly.
Okay, you at a house or are you at the intersection?
I'm at the Valero on 23rd and Kelly.
What's going on there, sir?
I see a friend of mine. She was walking down Kelly's side, falling in the street, so I gave her a ride. I was going to take her home to a grandmama's house, but she wouldn't get out, so she told me to take her on 23rd. And I've been trying to get her out for the last 30 minutes, and now she's saying...
Okay, are you in the Valero?
Pardon?
You in at the Valero, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What kind of car are you in, sir?
I'm in a 1992 Acura Legend.
What color?
It is tan. She's tearing the inside of my car up. She's drunk.
What's your name, sir?
My name's Christopher Shelton.
Christopher Shelton.
Yeah, she's yanking stuff out of my car.
What's her name, sir?
Her name's Terri Morris.
She white, black, Hispanic, or Indian?
She's black.
How old is she?
She's tearing my car up.
I understand.
She's 43.
Okay, she's still in the car?
Well, she finally got out, man. She's throwing stuff at me.
Police.
I told you I was there. Why she wouldn't get up? She's hitting on me and everything.
She drunk or on drugs?
Oh, my purse. Okay.
Christopher, is she drunk or on drugs?
There's something wrong with her. I just want somebody to come get her. I don't hit women or anything.
Me, that's what.
What color shirt and pants you wearing?
She got a black dress on.
Look like she needs
I was trying to help her with that. Yeah, she's throwing my darn CDs out.
Yes, sir. Look like she, or does she have any weapons?
No, she just throwing my darn car up.
Yeah. Okay.
The officer's already driving to you.
Yeah.
Look like she need an ambulance.
She's just throwing my stereo apart.
Are you trying to help me?
They're on their way here, Terry.
Yeah, already.
You done tore up my darn.
So you done call the people, the same motherfuckers that raped me. I don't know. The police.
Could you hurry up here, sir?
Sir, I'm not driving. The officer's
when
driving.
they do call, let me describe the police that raped me the other night.
Yeah, you should see them very close. Very.
She just tore my radio out.
Because, our friend,
Let me know when you see the officer.
Oh, yeah, I'm shutting the door. She's up here tearing my stuff up.
Do you see the officer?
Here he is. Do I need to stay on the phone?
Did the officer find you?
Yeah, here they are.
All right, talk to them, okay?
Yes. All right, thank you.
That 911 call is exclusive to this podcast. I obtained it through a Freedom of Information request. Amazingly, it was not part of the discovery in this case and was never presented at trial. And, in all fairness, I think that was an oversight and a mistake by the prosecution. Had it been played, it would have possibly been damaging to Daniel's defense. Why? About 2 minutes and 50 seconds into the call, you heard Terri Morris make the following and seemingly unprovoked statement. Quote, "You just called the people, the same motherfuckers that raped me." End quote. She goes on to indicate she was raped by a police officer. If true, this is the only proof in this case of an accuser, beyond Ligons, to allege a sexual assault without first being prompted to do so and prior to any allegations being made public. Remember, this was May 24th, 2014, and Ligons didn't get pulled over until June 18th of that same year. Around 3 a.m., Oklahoma City police officer Dan Williams and his rookie partner, Officer Jonathan Thomas, were dispatched to the Valero gas station located at the corner of Northeast 23rd and Kelly in Northeast Oklahoma City. When they arrived, they found Terri Morris disheveled and walking aimlessly in the parking lot near Chris Shelton's vehicle. At the time, Oklahoma City patrol officers did not have body cams nor dash cams, so the following comes directly from their written reports. According to Officer Thomas's report, quote, "On 5/24/2014, at approximately 0300 hours, I responded to Northeast 23rd and Kelly Avenue in reference to a domestic call. Upon my arrival, I made contact with victim Morris and involved party Shelton. Shelton stated that Morris called him upset and asked him to pick her up. Morris was acting very hyper and was unable to stand still. She was crying and stated she had been raped." End quote. Because of Morris's demeanor, rookie officer Thomas asked her if she had done any drugs recently. She replied that she had smoked some crack just a few hours ago. According to trial testimony, Morris and Shelton were separated and questioned individually. When Thomas asked Morris who raped her, she stated it was a police officer. She claimed the rape occurred within the last couple of days and gave the specific dates, May 20th or 21st. Morris said she was in downtown Oklahoma City walking to the city rescue mission from a drug rehabilitation facility in the immediate area when the officer stopped her and placed her in the back seat of his patrol car. She described the officer as about 40 years old, muscular, clean-shaven with dark skin and black hair. She said the officer ran her for warrants and had her step out of the patrol car and told her to unzip her pants. Morris claims that when she questioned the officer as to why, the officer said he could take her to jail but would let her go if she, quote, "sucked his dick," end quote. Morris said the officer never touched her vagina and never tried to have vaginal intercourse. She said the officer then unzipped his pants and exposed his erect penis. She had his penis in her mouth for a short period of time, and that then he removed his penis and put it back in his pants. Morris said the officer did not ejaculate, and when the sexual assault was over, he had her get back into his patrol car and told her he was going to drop her off at the city rescue mission. She told Thomas that the police officer then drove her around for a few minutes before simply stopping in a back alley and telling her to get out. Morris did not recall exactly where she was picked up or where she was dropped off. Officer Thomas noted that Morris said the officer in question was wearing an Oklahoma City uniform and badge and was driving a black and white patrol car. When asked why she didn't report the rape before now, Morris indicated it was because she was scared. Officer Williams then contacted Oklahoma City Police Lieutenant Michelle Holland and asked her to come to his location. Lieutenant Holland arrived at the Valero around 3:30 a.m. She asked Morris to recount what had happened. Lieutenant Holland stated in her report that Morris told the exact same story she had previously told to Officers Thomas and Williams. In fact, the lieutenant specifically stated, quote, "They," referring to Thomas and Williams, later stated her story did not change about the events when she retold them to me, end quote. Lieutenant Holland does this in her report to give credibility to Morris and her allegations. Credibility, I would argue, you'll soon learn is undeserved and is yet another example of how easily investigators can become biased during an investigation. Lieutenant Holland then placed a call to the on-call sex crimes detective. No reason is given, but that detective said they would not be responding to the scene. Unthwarted, Lieutenant Holland next calls her watch commander, Captain Melvin Davis, and advised him of the situation. Captain Davis advises to get all of Morris and Shelton's information, complete a report, and that it would be submitted to sex crimes for further investigation. Lieutenant Holland then offered to give Morris a ride to wherever she needed to go. Morris declined that offer and left on foot. Shelton reportedly drove away in his vehicle. Less than 2 hours later, Lieutenant Holland is dispatched to the Sooner Haven apartment complex near Northeast 36th and North Prospect Avenue. That's just over 1.25 miles from the Valero at Northeast 23rd and Kelly. A woman had called 911 claiming that an unknown female was outside her apartment, banging on the door and windows and trying to gain entry. When Lieutenant Holland arrived, she recognized the woman outside the apartment as Terri Morris. The female resident who called police initially claimed she didn't know who Morris was. Lieutenant Holland, however, noted in her report that she later learned that the female was lying and that she did indeed know Morris. Also noted in the report was that Lieutenant Holland noticed Christopher Shelton's vehicle was parked just outside the apartment also. We later learned that the apartment belonged to Shelton's new girlfriend and that Morris was upset over that fact and had come to confront them both. Lieutenant Holland notes that she allowed Morris to walk to another apartment, knock on the door, and that the unidentified male who answered agreed to let Morris come in and sleep in his apartment. 3 days later, on May 27th, the Morris case was assigned to Detective Rocky Gregory for further investigation. As with Ligons' complaint less than a month later, Morris's complaint is taken very seriously. Detective Gregory begins by requesting the names of all officers who have recently pulled up Terri Morris's information on the Patrol Car Mobile Data Computer, or MDC. On April 11, 2014, at 8:46 a.m., Patrol Officer Jeff Sellers did a records check on Morris. Remember that name, Jeff Sellers. Detective Gregory then inquired as to what officers had run Morris through the Varuna database. That check showed that Daniel Holtzclaw had run Morris on May 8th at around 9 p.m. Both inquiries showed that Morris had no warrants at the time, and in both instances, Officer Sellers and Officer Holtzclaw were not anywhere near the downtown Oklahoma City rescue mission when they encountered Morris. Detective Gregory next sought the AVL, or GPS history, of Officers Sellers and Holtzclaw on the dates Morris claimed she was sexually assaulted, May 20th and 21st. Sergeant Sellers was listed as light duty and was not working on the streets on those dates. Officer Holtzclaw was working patrol on both nights. Detective Gregory noted that on the 21st, Holtzclaw was downtown for a county jail arrest, but his patrol car's AVL showed no unexplained stops or irregular behavior. Detective Gregory then expanded his search to all patrol officers who came within a 2-block radius of the city rescue mission that registered 0 speeds on the patrol car's AVL. That inquiry turned up nothing. According to his detailed report, Detective Gregory immediately sets out to locate Morris. Unfortunately, she is listed as homeless with no mobile telephone number. Detective Gregory places calls to numerous shelters, nonprofits, and service providers that are often frequented by Oklahoma City's homeless population in search of Morris. Gregory also places calls to all known telephone numbers and associates of Morris. At 10:45 a.m., Detective Gregory calls Christopher Shelton and left a voice message. At 10:56, he calls a number listed in the Varuna database for Morris. That number turns out to be Morris's grandmother, who lives in the area on East Hill Street. She claims she has not seen Morris in about a month. Detective Gregory leaves his information with her just in case Morris shows up. 11:05. Gregory receives a call back from Christopher Shelton and conducts a telephone interview that lasts about 20 minutes. According to Detective Gregory's report, Shelton did not know where Morris was or how to get a hold of her. Shelton stated that he has known Morris for about 14 years. He also claims Morris has no mental health issues, but that she did take some pills during a suicidal period in her life. Shelton also discloses that Morris used alcohol but made no mention of drug use. Shelton claims that though he's known Morris for a long time, they were only romantically involved for about a month, and that was 2 months ago. He also said the two of them had lived with each other for a period of time in the past. Shelton claims that he has a current girlfriend but wouldn't disclose the woman's name. It was later learned it was the woman who had called 911 regarding Morris trying to break into her apartment. Shelton's version of events starts to change just a bit in this interview from the one he originally had with Officers Thomas, Williams, and Lieutenant Holland. According to Gregory's report, Shelton didn't receive a phone call from Morris, but instead just happened to be driving down North Kelly Avenue from Northeast 36th when he, quote, saw Morris walking and almost hit her, end quote. Shelton said Morris was very drunk, though we actually know she's already admitted that she was high on crack, and that he stopped and told her that he would take her to her grandmother's house on East Hill, just a few blocks away. Shelton said it was during this ride that Morris mentioned, quote, she was raped by the police, end quote. Shelton also mentioned that Morris was upset with him because he was with another woman and that she had tried to contact him about the rape. Shelton told Detective Gregory that he told Morris to be quiet and that he didn't want to hear about it because he didn't believe her. Morris continued to cuss at Shelton and refused to get out of his car when he stopped in front of her grandmother's. Morris told Shelton to take her to the Valero at Northeast 23rd and Kelly Avenue. However, once they arrived, Morris still refused to exit Shelton's vehicle. Shortly thereafter, Morris began tearing up the inside of Shelton's vehicle, ripping off the cover to his CD player and physically assaulting him. That's when Shelton said he called 911. Shelton said he didn't know many details about Morris's rape allegations, but he did know she said it happened last Tuesday or Wednesday. Shelton claims that Morris said the officer placed his hands between her legs. This is a detail that doesn't match the report Morris told the officers who responded to the Valero gas station. Another detail that is slightly different is that Shelton indicates the rape occurred while Morris was seated in the back of the patrol car. You'll recall that according to police reports, Morris told the officers at the Valero she exited the patrol car, was forced to perform oral sex, and then placed back into the patrol car. Shelton confirmed that after he left the Valero, he went to his girlfriend's apartment, and that later that same early morning, Morris showed up banging on the doors and windows. With the interview concluded, Detective Gregory continued his search for Morris after hanging up with Shelton. At 5 p.m., Detective Gregory drives to the city rescue mission because he has been advised they couldn't release any information unless he was there in person. He is told that the last time Morris was at their facility was on May 20th. Detective Gregory is next joined by Lieutenant Tim Muzny. The two of them go in person to numerous locations trying to locate Morris. Those locations include Liberty Station Apartments, where Gregory and Muzny confirm Morris's street name is TT. The two also went by local convenience stores and other apartment complexes in the area, none of which proved fruitful. Over the next few days, Gregory's steady pace of inquiry continued and is detailed in police reports I've posted to this episode's homepage at holtzclawtrial.com. On June 2nd, around 11 a.m., Detective Gregory met with Rookie Officer Jonathan Thomas at police headquarters to go over his contact with Morris at the Valero gas station. Officer Thomas explained that he had only been on patrol for about a month when he responded to the Chris Shelton 911 call. Officer Thomas said that when he and his field training officer arrived, the first thing that she told them was that she had been raped by a police officer and that rape occurred just a few days ago. According to Detective Gregory, Thomas recounts his interactions with Morris and her story, and they match previous reports. That said, I personally did note one difference. In this interview, police rookie Thomas now states that Morris was seated inside the patrol car when she was forced to perform oral sex. In his original report, he stated Morris was outside the patrol car. Detective Gregory apparently missed this detail and did not ask for clarification. Detective Gregory did, however, note that according to officers on the scene, Morris appeared to be consistent in her telling and retelling of her story. Morris also self-disclosed that she was a prostitute. When Detective Gregory asked Rookie Officer Thomas if he believed Morris, his response was, quote, "Maybe." Gregory states in his report he asked Rookie Officer Thomas to go over the story yet again. This time, according to Gregory's report, there are significant differences from Rookie Thomas's original report and even his first telling of the incident in person to Detective Gregory just a few minutes ago. Detective Gregory now lists the following details. Morris is allegedly sober on the night of the rape. When she's standing outside of the patrol car, the officer tells her to pull down her pants, and Morris replies, "No." Morris requests a female officer, and she is given an ultimatum, quote, "Go to jail or do it this way," end quote, indicating performing oral sex. After the rape, Morris was simply dropped off at an unknown location and doesn't recall where she went next. Morris claimed the first person she reported the rape to was Christopher Shelton. This would have been just minutes before Shelton called 911 on May 24th, 2014. Officer Thomas specifically recalled asking Morris if the officer wore a condom. She replied, "No." Officer Thomas also asked Morris if her breasts were ever exposed. Again, no. But Morris did allegedly tell Thomas that the officer, quote, "did feel on her breasts a little bit," end quote. Each telling of the story has Morris standing outside the patrol car when she is made to unzip her pants. Lastly, Officer Thomas also stated that Morris pointed to his patrol car, a 2010 Crown Vic, and stated the officer who raped her was driving the same vehicle. All of these details and Morris's answers are going to become critical in this investigation, but somehow they will be totally discounted in Detective Gregory's relentless pursuit of Holtzclaw. The next day, June 3rd, at around 7 p.m., Detective Gregory is contacted by a confidential informant, or CI, referred to as Cal. Cal said he had just spotted Morris at Northeast 26th and Urban League Court and that a patrol officer now had her in custody. Detective Gregory immediately drove to that location and met with Morris. When he arrived, Patrol Officer Kyle May stated that Morris was not happy about being detained and had been banging her head against the metal cage in the patrol car and was asking to be allowed to leave. In fact, Detective Gregory noted in his report, quote, Morris immediately advised she did not want to go through with the investigation in regards to her sexual assault report on the unknown officer. Morris said that she would not pursue this matter any further and would not cooperate in the investigation. Detective Gregory, though, was not dissuaded. In fact, he basically lied to Morris when he let her believe that she had to come to the downtown police headquarters and fill out a refusal to prosecute form so that they could honor her wishes to be left alone. Feeling she had no other choice, Morris agreed.
Please.
Okay, Terri Lynn, I'm sorry I took some time. Thank you so much for coming down. Is it all right that I have my uniform on?
Yeah, I was scared.
Okay, you want me to take off my gun belt, anything like that?
No, I was
Okay.
scared because I don't know what police to trust anymore.
Okay, well, I don't even know who the guy is. I understand your concern, okay? And like I say, I've worked sex crimes a long time, okay? And I've put cops in jail. I've put handcuffs on cops. And I've sent them to prison before, okay? I sent a lot of child molesters and rapists on to prison, okay? I don't care if they're a cop, firefighter, preacher.
I just want to be there because I'm leaving at the end of my aunties.
Okay.
We're going back to California with my auntie.
California?
At the end of my year.
Like you and your family? Okay.
But my other family will be here, my sister, and I'm going up there with my auntie.
Okay. Well, you've been very difficult to find, okay? And I think you
really
showed-
wasn't hiding. I guess wasn't not at the wrong place, at the wrong time, right time, whatever.
Yeah, I understand. Well, what I'd like to do, okay, now you have every option in the world, okay? But you know I got to encourage you to go through and talk to me, okay? I can't have this guy running around Oklahoma City.
But if somebody else can do it, I don't want to. I just want to leave it alone. I want to try to get these men. I just want to get this out of my...
Okay. Well, I
just want to drop. I just want to be left alone.
I understand, and I'm not trying to harass you, okay?
I take a lot of medicine. I just want...
Well, I like I say, I'm not trying to harass you.
I know.
Okay? I really...
I know.
I'm just trying to look out for a lot of women out there.
I know.
And
I just can't, I can't do it. I'm not strong enough right now. I can't.
Okay. Is it even possible that I could show you some pictures?
No, I don't want to. Please. I just want to leave it alone. I just want to go. I just want to go about my life, please.
Okay.
Please, no. I don't want to see him or nothing. Oh my God, no.
Well, I don't even know if I have. My deal is I don't even want to chase after the wrong guy. You know.
Okay, but I don't want to. Please, no. I don't want to be a part of nothing no more.
Okay. Can I ask you this? Why is there anything that I can do? Okay. Is there anything that I can do to persuade you to help make you stronger?
No. Sorry, I'm sorry. I just can't. Please.
Let me ask you, Terri. And I know you don't.
Do this to me, please.
I know you don't know me. Okay. I know you don't.
But I just don't want to be a part of it no more. I was already scared from the get go, and I just want to leave it alone.
Let me ask you this: do you have children? You do, or you very close to your children? Are they going? Are they going with you?
I don't want to. I just want to sign the paper, please.
Give me 2 more minutes, and I'll fill it up as I talk. Okay? I'll fill it out as I talk.
Jesus, help.
Is your kids going to California? Or are they staying?
They're grown. They're staying.
What would you think if they got stopped by this guy?
And they're not. Please, I can only think right now. That's too much for me. This is too much for me.
It's too much.
Yeah, Not long before that, I just got to mental hospital before that happened to me. I just can't.
Where have you been staying?
I was at the shelter.
What shelter?
She rescued me. Then before that, before I even went to the shelter, I was at Woodward Mental Health.
Where's that at?
In Woodward, Oklahoma.
Oh, Woodward? Oh, I thought you were at a rehab here.
I was after I came from Woodward.
Okay, so you went.
Woodward is a mental health.
Okay, and then you went where?
I was at the City Rescue Mission. I was in the BTL.
Did you?
Faith-based drug program.
Where's that at?
Downtown. That right down here somewhere. What's so bad.
What's the name of it?
City Rescue Mission.
But you said that there was a faith.
BTL.
BTL. From what I understood, you left a rehab.
I don't. Please. Oh God. Jesus.
Well, you gotta understand. You can't blame me for trying. You know, I don't like predators.
I'm not gonna. I know. I can't. I'm just not gonna answer no more questions. No disrespect. I just can't.
Give me an address I can put down, because I gotta have an address for this. It's
812 East Hill is my granny's number. 812 East Hill, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73. I'm sorry if I'm going too fast. This is my nerves. $812 East Hill Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Are you on any kind of medications? What kind of meds?
Inipramine, and I take 3. That's my mental health medicine. Then I take 3 different types of high blood pressure pills.
That's your mental health. What? Where you been diagnosed?
Paranoid schizophrenic with depressive features.
Schizophrenic.
Post-traumatic disorder.
With what kind of features?
Depressive. Post-traumatic. Post-traumatic.
Stress and like PTSD.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. I gotta find a date. I gotta put a date down.
For what?
For whatever had happened.
Well, I don't know. It happened sometime last month. That's all I remember.
Last month in May?
Yeah. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it was last month about, I don't know, the first, second, third week, something. I don't know.
Okay. Okay, do you know, this says location of offense.
It was in downtown. I don't know, downtown somewhere down here. When it happened.
Yeah, I got it. I'm just looking for a location. So
No, downtown here somewhere. I don't know because I don't know my way around downtown. This was my first time at the city shelter. City Rescue Mission. I done on my way around behind some like between buildings. Some buildings he pulled into.
Between buildings? Okay.
Some street with a building, you know.
What could you see something? I mean,
a red brick building. Another bit that red. See, MTC.
Where was?
I don't want to rehash this.
Okay, but I'm just trying to figure out what location. So I can write it down.
I don't know because I'm not from downtown. I'm from the northeast area, so I don't know. Okay. It didn't seem that far away from the City Rescue Mission.
Like, could you see the Devon Tower?
I don't.
Was there a Valero, a McDonald's?
I don't remember.
Jesus
I just
House?
don't. I was so scared. I just want him to leave me alone. I was in shock, scared.
Do you remember the street? How about a street? Can I put down a street?
I don't know, though. I don't know. I asked him, where was he taking? I don't know.
And then he drove you around from what I understood. Okay. Well, I'm not trying to upset you, okay? You know that, right? You know I'm not trying to upset you. I'm just trying to figure out a location.
I don't know. I'm not from downtown, so I don't know.
Okay.
I've done the best I could right there.
Right. And I understand that. I understand. Is there? But you saw something.
No, I don't know. I saw, him drag me between them two buildings, that street. Kind of looked like I don't know what was on the other end. It seemed like an alley. Something. I don't know.
Was you drunk or anything?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. Please, can we just...
You said it was close to the city rescue?
It seemed like a couple of blocks or so. I don't really know because I just was trying. I didn't even know my way around. Somebody walked me to the bus stop that wanted to show me how to get there.
Okay. Okay. How about the jail? You know where the jail is?
I mean, I've been to jail, but no, because I'm not. All I know is the address.
Of the
I
jail?
couldn't come here and show you where the jail is, literally, without. You know, I've been to jail lots of times, but I just, you know, if I'm just mental image things. I'm into the image things, because I don't know how to drive. I don't know my directions very well unless I'm walking them, and they have, like, you know, like my own landmark to know where I'm at. So I don't know, because I never did that with none of this, because I never really expected to live there.
Well, I'm trying to help you fill this out, okay?
But I don't know. You asked me something I don't know.
You know where I-40
If I was on east side, no, not really. I know I think it's part of Lincoln. I think. I don't know.
You know that big, pretty, like, skywalk bridge, you know, with the lights up?
I don't really travel out the northeast. Okay. That area you see me in, I don't really travel out that area.
You don't? Okay.
That was
well, you've been to Jesus' house, right?
No, but I've been to the city rescue mission. That was my first time. Man.
How about, I got an idea. If you walked out the front doors on California, which way would I be put?
Okay, well listen, this is so difficult. I don't know because I was coming back. I don't know. I was coming back from the east side and taking care of my business. I don't know because, I don't know. I don't know my directions. Like, I just don't know. Wasn't really sure I was not far from the city rescue mission. He said that.
He said that?
That we wasn't up for. They's been this up my whole night. Depressed.
Okay. Well, your reason. I gotta have you sign this, okay? But you gotta put it like an actual reason. Yeah. Whatever your reasons are, you know. But you do know I want you to do this, right?
Yeah.
Is there anything I can say to persuade you to change your mind? What if you needed more time?
No, I just want to get it because I'm leaving it. That's why Mighty's coming to get me at the end of the day because I'm having a hard time dealing with this.
Okay. Well, are you on any kind of illegal drugs? I'm not going to arrest you.
No, well, I've been drinking a beer.
You've been drinking? Okay.
And that beer that they took, I just opened it.
And you sure you wouldn't look at a few pictures?
Please don't make me. Please don't. No, I sign here.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry. Maybe if I think about it, I could call back in, but I'd just rather not right now.
Okay, where are you? Where are you going in California? Oh, you see a counselor?
Oh, I don't know. My stays up there in San Francisco.
Where are you gonna go tonight?
Going back to my uncle's in the house.
Where's your uncle?
Where you seen us? Oh, you didn't see us. Where they had us. Had me in a car at.
Does he got an address or anything?
This said Northeast 23rd, 24th. I don't know. I never paid. He just not. He ain't been standing alone.
Okay. Let me go find the officer. Okay. Give me a little bit of time. Okay. And I promise you a ride back. You know, I wish you would talk with me.
Yeah.
I'm still going to give you my phone number because I hope you do. Because I don't want this guy on my police department.
Me, I don't want him near me.
I don't want this guy to touch my daughters, your daughters.
I don't want him near me at all.
Just hang on, okay?
He violated my body. I'm hungry, shit. Golly.
Okay. Terry, is there anything you'd like to tell me? Anything that I should know? I can't tell you. I want to beg you to give me information.
I know. I was was in person. Then I talked to my cousin. I just rather leave it alone, like he said.
You know I'm on your side. I am one of the good guys, okay?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you don't have to apologize for anything, okay? Okay. Is it the mental issues? Is that affecting you, or?
Yeah, kind of. I go to counseling. I just rather leave it alone. And I just want to go start over with my auntie.
Well,
I'll be gone for summer.
But you know, the thing is I still got to watch over women.
I know, I'm sorry. Don't put that on me, please don't.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's not right to do me like that.
I'm not trying to be mean, but you understand why.
That's not right to do that to me.
Well, I'm not trying to be mean, but you know I got a job to do. Okay, I'm gonna give you my number. Okay, you can call me. And even if you lose this, you know that the sex crimes, Oklahoma City. I don't care if you got to call 911.
Okay.
They'll get them switched over.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything I can do to persuade you to talk to me?
No, not.
I mean anything.
I need time. Okay.
I mean, and if you want another detective, female
Take my
detective,
medicine.
I'll try anything.
No,
Okay.
if I did have to talk to one, I'd rather would be you, but I'm just not. Right now, just not.
Okay. Is there a phone number I can call
No,
you?
unfortunately, I left my phone in a friend's truck. Well, lost thing.
How about your uncle? Is there a phone number there?
No, it's just he ain't got no phone. He's waiting on him to come put a hookup in.
If I was to, how was that?
You can call my granny's number 42.
Well, I've been over there.
That's my grandma's.
Any other numbers?
No, because right now I'm staying with my cousin-in-law until my auntie gets here.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's. Wherever.
You wanna go back to the house in Urban then? Is that what I'm thinking? Okay.
If you change your mind, call that number, okay? Case closed. Yeah.
The main points remained constant. The rape occurred just a few days prior to Christopher Shelton's 911 call. Morris specifically stated either the 20th or 21st of May. Shelton was the first person Morris confided in. The sexual assault occurred in downtown Oklahoma City, and Morris was walking from a drug rehabilitation center to the city rescue mission. The officer was driving an older model black and white 2010 Crown Vic. And lastly, the officer who raped her exposed his penis with little to no effort, and he was not wearing a condom. All of these things Terri Morris was sure of and repeated over and over again. Next, throw in the fact that the very first time we hear about this rape is during what is often referred to as an unsolicited, excited utterance in the background of Christopher Shelton's 911 call. Then, there's Morris's description of her attacker. Mixed race, white male, at least 6 foot tall, solid muscle, about 260 pounds, clean shaven with dark hair. It sounds a lot like Daniel Holtzclaw. I'd be insulting you if I didn't admit it didn't look good for Daniel. But what if I told you Terri Morris is about to admit that the majority of her story is a complete and convenient lie?
Okay. Whew. That's rough. That was rough to watch. First of all, I wanted to say,
he's one of the good guys. Come on.
Yeah,
I'm a good. Jesus.
that pissed me off. Everything he said and did just pisses me off in that interview, and it's not any better than the next ones.
What an abusive asshole, in my opinion,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, good description. I wanted to say before I forget, thank you to Kay. She was putting in really good information in the chat. I didn't want to share it on the screen because I had subtitles and stuff that I wanted to make sure were seen by Terri, that Terri Morris was making. But thank you for all that information. Yeah, it's just, so I needed to explain to TJ, he was a little bit late getting in. What this was about was Terri Morris on May 24th of 2014, way before 3.5 weeks or whatever before Jannie Ligons stopped, had made a claim at a gas station in Oklahoma City that she'd been raped by an Oklahoma City police officer, and so there's a whole long thing that goes in between that. But Kay, during the beginning of this video, Kay talked a little bit about how this ended up being such a integral part of the entire case, and why it was necessary to get Terri Morris to change her story in order to start making Daniel out to be a serial rapist. So just go back and listen to that, TJ, and you'll that way than me trying to explain it all over again. So what we'll do next time is we will try to listen to, we'll listen to, we don't have video of it. Well, there's not video of, there was video of the June 3rd interview with Terri Morris, but there is not video, but there's audio of the June, I want to say, what do you guys remember that second interview date was? I want to say it was, I can't remember if it was before or after June 18th.
It's the 24th.
24th. So just a little bit after Jannie Ligons stopped, June 24th, Gregory gets in touch with, now he's like foaming at the mouth to get Terri Morris on board. But he's got to get her.
It's the day after Jannie Ligons goes on the news.
Okay, yeah. So Rocky Gregory is just foaming at the mouth to get to Terri Morris again, to find her again, so that he can get her to change her mind and say that Daniel Holtzclaw assaulted her. But he's got to get her to change her day, because she adamantly says time and time again that it was Tuesday or Wednesday, May 20th or 21st. She says that over and over again. And she says where it was, that it was in downtown Oklahoma City, somewhere within the vicinity of the city rescue mission. But Rocky Gregory has to get her to change that time, that day, to May 8th, when Daniel did legitimately have police contact with her at Liberty Station Apartments on May 8th. So he has to get her to change that story. And we're going to get into all of that. And Kay talked about them, but we're going to get into those interviews next time, so that you can hear how conniving and evil and manipulative Rocky Gregory is. And by the time he gets ready to take her on tour on July 10th, he's pretty irritated with her, and you'll be able to hear that in his voice when we play it for you. So yeah, I just want to let you guys say how you feel, what your thoughts are. Anyone?
Yeah, that's that's always hard to listen to. And what's telling is, that's just his style. He's just a bully. He really, what he cares about is being able to close a case, to forward charges to the DA, because keep in mind, this is the June 3rd interview. This is the first interview. It's before it's before the after hours traffic stop. It's before Ligons reports. You can, it just pisses me off every time to listen to his police work. He's a sorry ass excuse for a detective.
Yeah, and that's gonna be throughout the case. It's gonna be more times that we're gonna have to listen to recorded interviews occasionally. Well, I think just one more. Well, a couple more. Anyway, that we're gonna have to listen to his stupidity and his lies and his manipulation with accusers.
I never caught her saying they took a beer away from me that I just opened too.
That I just opened, yeah.
So, I mean, that
Little
lets
chuckle.
you know that they were manhandling her. They didn't say,
Yeah.
hey, she wouldn't have willingly gone along with them for this interview. And that's not how you interview people. If they don't want to come with you, you don't do that to people.
Yeah.
What he's
Oh, that's
worried about is closing a case, is you know, who knows their past cases, how they collected victims, because he's had other serial rape cases. Davis has had other serial rape cases. If this case wasn't so freaking convoluted, it would be probably pretty enlightening to look into some of Davis's serial rape cases for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
It's very strange to me that they had already looked at everybody that was working in the area. They looked at AVL. They didn't find anybody, any police in that area where she said this happened. Correct? Before this interview?
Well, no, that's not correct. There were police going by the location where she indicated that she was dropped off, the area.
But nobody
like I
that
said,
stopped, and
no one stopped. The slowest
No
speed
zero
was
speeds.
25 miles an hour.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, he's got nothing to back up her claims. So why is he going after her so hard? It makes no sense to me.
I think he just wants to take every opportunity he can to, pound his chest and say, hey, look, I got this rape victim here. We'll
I guess. I mean,
we'll find the person who
hard.
did this. It's like collecting victims in case you need them for later.
Yeah, I think he was on a mission. I'm going to, I think they were already like kind of panicking, maybe from some of the emails in the background. It seemed like the higher ups were concerned
about Terri Morris with the June 3rd interview.
Well,
before Daniel
nobody went out on that when she called. It didn't look good for the not racist Oklahoma City.
Oh, I've got you. Not necessarily already thinking about Daniel because that hadn't happened yet, but just that they weren't following protocol with her. Well, everyone was on vacation. It was kind of like, hey, we're short staffed. We saw that from the emails, like Cherie just pointed out, that they were short staffed. The chief and the assistant chief were on vacation together on the West Coast. Denise Wenzel was in charge when all this went down. Pardon me. Was she lieutenant or?
No, she was. I think she was captain.
Oh, okay. I don't recall.
I don't know yet if they did. Kay might know. Under Your Scars wants to know: did the jurors get to watch all the interviews? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Well, here's the thing: Adams didn't put a case on, so Giger's not gonna play them because they're shady as fuck.
Yeah,
and
right.
Exactly. Adams, I think he perceived that he had put his case on through cross-examination of each.
No, I didn't. Oh, wait, never mind.
I mean, because they only called two people. Was it one or two people to the stand? Only Daniel's girlfriend, and was that it, or was there one?
That
more?
was it. Nope, that was it. He didn't call the crime or the DNA expert that he had hired, even, or whatever it was.
Right.
So yeah, just one person is all that he called.
I mean, I don't
So-
understand what the thought process for that was. I've never heard Brian Bates speak to it. I mean, the only thing I can figure it out is that because they piled on these 13 cases, they were so freaking overwhelmed that they didn't come up with what I think happened. They didn't come up with that. I don't know. In that amount of time, I might not have had my mind wrapped around this case enough to come up with it either, frankly, just to be honest.
I almost think that
Really
he had
long
this.
time to.
He almost think like it was almost like he was thinking they're not going to convict this cop. He's a cop. They're going to believe him.
Maybe, or he knew that they were going to convict him no matter what.
Or yeah, one or the other.
He's in that Oklahoma County courthouse all the time. He knows how dirty and corrupt that place is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's that was something else I was going to explain. I can't think of it right now, but Under Your Scars, they didn't play the interviews of the accusers because they didn't need to. The state didn't need to. If those interviews were going to get played, they were going to have to come from the defense. The defense was going to have to ask for those and play them themselves. The only one I think that they did play was at least part of Shardarian Hills, if I'm not mistaken.
That's what I was going to say, too, because I just rewatched Daniel in the Den last night, and Brian Bates says that they had the prosecution apparently hadn't heard that end part, so they all had to go into a session.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they
We're
had
so
to have a whole
even
thing
if you
about
didn't
it.
rate nobody, you know.
It's interesting to think that only the prosecution put a case on and it was a 6-week trial. So would it have been a 12-week trial?
If what now?
So it was a 6-week trial. The defense is the only, I'm sorry, the prosecution, I see why you're asking me that. The prosecution is the only ones that put a case on. The defense didn't put a case on. I mean, one calling Carrie to the stand isn't
that's not a case. That's not a defense.
Yeah, and they shredded her because, what she was trying to say in her awkward way. She says, why would he choose these women? Which, everyone loved that. They shredded her on that. What she meant to say is Daniel is a person who is concerned about his health and his body, and he's always, putting only good things into his body and conscious of his health. Why would he expose himself to disease of women who are, having unprotected sex with all these different, why would he want to expose himself to disease and things like that?
Yeah, exactly.
That was the whole case. That was it.
And technically, it's the state, we all know that it's the state is the one who has to prove that the defendant is guilty. But that doesn't mean that the defense can just sit on their butt. I'm not saying that Scott Adams just sat on his butt, but that doesn't mean that they cannot, at the very least, do effective cross-examinations. And we know from the few that we've read so far, there's been less than adequate cross-examination or objections, and those things are important. And it's frustrating to read it as we're going along. Because
if Bates had been an attorney at the time, I think he would have gotten Daniel off. because he, he did the investigation. He had a grasp of this, but, he couldn't.
Yeah.
Okay, I had the same experience in a civil courtroom with, well, never mind. I'm not going to say this.
I have a question, and it may be a hard one. Remember, I'm older than all of you. Well, except for Susan. She's close.
He's old.
Close. So there's no throwing shit at me.
Except for Susan. What the hell, Jack?
There's
What are you
no.
saying?
It's okay.
Well,
it's okay. I own it.
She doesn't mind. She owns it. She doesn't mind at all. Or I wouldn't have said it. So
she's at one with her age.
I mean, she can beat on me if she wants, but the rest of you back off. I got to ask a question here, and it's maybe a little bit difficult, and I don't mean anything by it. This is everyone's right. Do you all think it would have made a difference if Daniel had testified?
He wanted to.
I mean, just from what I know about him, I can completely understand that. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go.
Well, that's my basic question. Do you think it would have mattered to this jury?
Do. I think at the time, the first time I met Daniel in person, was a 4-hour visit. It was just the two of us. And he answered every question I had.
That's pretty awesome. It really is.
He welcomed every single question, everything that I thought was weird about the case. The sincerity. I mean, I think I read people really well. I already felt like he was innocent before I went to visit him, but just the way he spoke to me with his answers, I can't even really explain that. It was just kind of a combination of, well, first of all, he's soft-spoken guy. And at that point, he still was kind of incredulous that this had happened to him. I mean, he still couldn't believe it had happened. He's changed now.
I'm sure he's quite jaded at this point. I don't blame him a bit.
He is. And he can't think about this case really because it makes doing time hard. It makes him really angry, and he could probably get himself into some trouble, like going off on someone. So, he just focuses.
You think about the cross-examination. I mean, Daniel has nothing in his background to where they could have, torn him apart on the stand.
That's right.
And I think, I wish he had taken the stand. I think he would have held up.
I do too.
Just fine. I just don't see anything where they could have, really discredited him, and and he could have explained everything he did and why he did it, and
I think Adams
went.
was afraid that Giger would destroy him.
But with what?
With what? With what?
Well, how Giger. I mean, with not necessarily. Just with the allegations, I mean, I think he felt like Daniel's not an articulate speaker.
I mean, I understand what you're saying.
And I don't think Scott Adams thought they needed that, because Daniel wanted to defend himself, and you could hear the innocence in his voice when he was speaking about this case. And I agree with you, Susan. I think he would have been an effective witness, even if Giger got him frustrated and twisted things around and, made a mess of him on the stand. I think the jury would have seen the real Daniel.
Right.
Yeah. It's just all extremely, start to
And
finish,
with
extremely
with
frustrating.
so many charges,
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason they do that. And it just seems, I mean, he had so much stacked against him. I just think he could do nothing but help himself
I
by
testify.
Well, when
testifying.
you've only got one, you can't get things done always. But when you got
Right.
13, so
Right.
Yeah.
That's
especially
right.
with the way the trial went, I don't know. I don't think it could have hurt him with,
It
because it
wasn't
wasn't
13, it was 36 as in charges.
Well,
charges.
13,
I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah, but 13
I meant
accusers.
accusers. That's
right.
Kim's on
Yeah.
the notes.
When,
Oh, I
yeah,
know. I know you're quoting Kim Davis. Blinkwinkle, I like to call her. But yeah, but still there were 36 charges. I mean, my God. I just don't know
yeah,
what he had to lose, really. Um,
yeah,
Yeah, but he trusted his
I
attorney.
understand
He'd
that.
never been in any kind of trouble before. He'd never been in court before like that.
Yeah,
Um,
I understand that.
he
Sure, he
and
was.
he thought he had one of the best defense attorneys in Oklahoma City. He thought his defense attorney was well connected in Oklahoma County, and all those things were true. He just trusted. He put his life in Scott's hands.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
and I'm sure Scott's sick about it, but
Hmm.
maybe
under
his
your
ego is
scars.
too
Oh,
big to
sorry.
realize that it wasn't
He
a
could lose a
slam dunk
case.
like
Yeah,
most of his cases. I mean, he wins his cases generally.
yeah. Yeah, and
I'm
I just
trying to.
wanted to say, under your scars says his lawyer was obviously not experienced enough. He was experienced. That's the thing. He's a criminal. He is a criminal defense attorney, and he is highly regarded and very well known in Oklahoma City.
It was too
And
much.
it's just too much. Too much.
And designed
And
that way, designed to be too much.
Yeah.
sure. And yeah, only one piece of DNA evidence, and that wasn't even legitimately. Well, it definitely wasn't testified to correctly. Number one. Number two, the amount was such a small. I mean, I can't remember. I don't know what the word is. Barely over or barely admissible, I guess is the best way for me to say it. The DNA evidence of Gardner was barely admissible, and then the misrepresentation about whether Daniel's DNA was on his own pants was misrepresented, and then of course my big soapbox moment, Giger in his closing rebuttal argument saying to the jury, one of the last things he said to them was that the DNA came from the vaginal walls of the 17-year-old victim. And that just was not true. And then Scott Adams, the defense wasn't allowed to speak anymore. So I don't know. It's just really
It was the death knell, you know. Him saying that was the death knell.
Yeah.
And we know that from the two jurors that spoke out. And one of them said, you know, the main thing was the DNA, you know.
Yeah.
What makes me angry is that then I don't know how soon after, on a news presentation, he said exactly the opposite. They can't tell what kind of,
Oh
where
my
that
gosh.
woman came from.
Rhonda, you should grab that from the chat, from the Holtzclaw readers chat, and play that, what Cherie's talking about, because she's right. He comes out, I think it said 2 weeks or 2 months after Daniel's conviction, and speaks to the media.
Was that the first one you put in?
It's prosecutors speak out or something. I think it's the second or third one. I think it's the third one I put in. It's titled Prosecutors.
Oh, prosecutors who helped. Gotcha. Oh God, I can't
Didn't
stand
he
this.
once again say that it came from vaginal fluid or something?
Yeah, but he's also saying, let's just watch it.
Okay. Maybe I'm thinking of
No, he does reiterate vaginal fluid, but what he contradicts himself in this.
Pants in his bag.
Daniel Holtzclaw's last moments as a cop captured in this interrogation tape.
Nearly 2 years later, the fired Oklahoma City police
officer
serving a 263-year sentence for raping women on the job.
And only on 5 tonight, for the first time, we are hearing from the prosecutors who helped convict him.
And KOCO's Ariel Reshef gives you a look inside at the key evidence in the build.
Did your pants come unzipped, unbuttoned, anything while you were standing right there?
It started with 2 reports of sexual assault by an officer and an interrogation. It ended with Daniel Holtzclaw escorted out of court, a convicted rapist. The case against him built by county prosecutors Galen Giger and Lori McConnell.
We knew he wouldn't tell us the truth.
Overseen by District Attorney David Prater.
Was there ever concern about prosecuting a cop?
No, none at all. Matter of fact, this guy and a police officer to me.
They had more than a dozen accusers.
We knew what was going to happen. We knew we'd end up in a courtroom.
Pants in his bag.
The DNA on Holtzclaw's pants seized at the end of the interrogation, the link to his youngest victim.
How did you manage to get 18 guilty verdicts with 1 piece of DNA?
The DNA evidence were skin cells. The skin cells were transferred through the body fluids of a 17-year-old girl after he raped her. That's what the evidence was. That's what the jury heard. And certainly that's what they convicted him of.
Some people say they're skin cells. They could have been from anywhere.
They tried to explain DNA from a 17-year-old girl that ends up inside his pants at the areas where his privates are. Quite frankly, their explanation was not believable because you can't explain that.
The investigators matching the victims' stories to GPS in Holtzclaw's patrol car.
It shows him taking them exactly where they said, and there is no logical, legitimate reason for him to be taking them to behind an abandoned school for 15 minutes and not make a police report, not phone it in, follow every procedure there is when it comes to dealing with female suspects when you're a male officer.
Were you surprised by the number of women who came forward in this case?
Nobody came forward.
Pretty early on that Officer Holtzclaw had established a pattern of coming across women that he could submit his power over.
Lady after lady, when asked the question, why didn't you tell? Their response was a theme of hopelessness. Who's going to believe me?
The jury believing enough to issue 18 guilty verdicts and recommend Daniel Holtzclaw spend the rest of his life behind bars.
The judge agreed with the jury, sentencing Daniel Holtzclaw to 263 years in prison. Holtzclaw maintains his innocence and is appealing. Ariel Reshef, KOCO, 5 News.
I wonder what the date of that interview is.
I don't know. All I remember, she said 2 years after. That's all I
Yeah, because
remember.
I'm trying to place it in perspective to the secret hearings.
Yeah.
Like it's right before, because it took him 2.5 years to answer Daniel's direct appeal.
Right.
And then, there were, of course, the secret hearings.
Yeah.
A few months after he filed his direct
I don't remember. I don't remember the dates.
It
It's
says,
hard for me to remember.
It says February 5th of 2016.
So practically just exactly 2 years later. And the direct appeal, wasn't that in June? Or didn't they have the secret hearings in
2017 rings a bell, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think it was in June.
It was in June. That's all I remember is June. Yeah. It's just so infuriating. And that's to listen to Giger sit there and lie so easily. And the news reporters, the media, how many women came forward? Nobody, with the exception of Jannie Ligons and allegedly Shardarian Hill, and I guess they try to also put Terri Morris in there. Nobody came forward. They were all solicited by the detectives at the direction of their lieutenant, Timothy Muzny. So
yeah, I mean, they say Kayla Lyles came forward through her probation officer, but the detectives had already been to her parents' house.
Yeah, yep. They had already been looking for
the
her.
direct appeal was filed with the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals February 1st, 2017. The secret hearings happened in June, like the 16th and 17th, or 17th and 18th, something like that. Let's see.
So that was right after the appeal was filed.
Yes.
Oh, well, let's see. I lied. It was 4 months after the appeal. It was June 26th and 27th that the secret hearings happened. And then
of 16?
Of 17. 17.
Oh.
Yeah,
Okay.
the direct appeal was filed in February, on February 1st of 17. Secret hearings June 26th and 7th of 17. Appeal denied by the Oklahoma Court of Criminal Appeals, or they upheld the conviction, I guess is the terminology. August 1st, 2019. So that's exactly 2.5 years to the day.
Yes.
Jesus.
Then he filed pretty quickly. So that was August 2019 that it's denied. He filed his writ of certiorari with the U.S. Supreme Court on December 30th of 2019. And three months later, they announced they declined to hear it.
Fuckers.
Yeah. Anyway.
There's a
case.
Yeah, it's so frustrating, and there's so much to try to unpack with it that it makes it really hard. And that's why I just wanted to go back to the very beginning of this, because it's so hard to understand as it is. So there is a room in Daniel's Discord, and I never can find it. It's I can never find the room in my own Discord. It's anyway, it has Brian Bates podcasts in it, and not MediaCon. Let's see. Oh my gosh, why is it so hard? I couldn't find it today. Oh, it's in the music and game room below the library, and it's right near the end in Discord, the music and game room. And I have video and news clips in there, mostly about Daniel's case, reports from other, different times that the media covered the case. There are some video clips about different wrongful conviction cases and things like that. But also, that's where I've been trying to put. For a couple of years now, I've been trying to gather those news clips and putting them in there in that room. So you can kind of scroll through that room and see some of those videos. And Kate had said something earlier. She had posted a few of these video clips in our group chat. And I just need to go through again and make a montage of news clip videos and just show that so that you guys can see all the different news clips that we have that we can gather and show how it was covered in the media. And and then to listen to these prosecutors talk, and David Prater, anytime that man opened his mouth, I just cringed. He's got to be one of the most angriest men alive, number one. But it just gives you an idea, too, if you're not from Oklahoma and weren't aware of the case when it was going on, it gives you an idea of how the media, covered the case. Very unfairly, of course. And that's not what our media is supposed to do. Our media is not supposed to have an opinion. The media is supposed to be completely unbiased and just give you the facts, but it's not how it works, unfortunately. And it's really frightening. So, yeah, I'm still trying to learn Discord as well, Sheila. Clearly, and I need to go through too and clean out some of the stuff in the Discord and get rid of it that we never, even touch or do anything with, because I really want to start getting people active in Discord and getting any information that we're giving you here out, put in the Discord, so you guys can look at it on your own. You're in your own time and with your own research skills and whatnot. So. Maybe this long, cold, snowy winter will be a good time for that. But I want to put my efforts into, presenting to you guys what we can as far as, things that we have discovered and learned, along with what Bates has presented. So, but the next time we'll listen to the June 24th interview with Rocky Gregory and Terri Morris, and then the July 10th interview when they got her all sobered up in the jail for a week, and then manipulate her to change her story. Because you will find it very interesting, I have no doubt. So, I can't think of anything else that I wanted to really discuss tonight. So I will just open it up to final comments. Jack, if you have any final comments?
Well, Rocky Gregory is not a nice police officer. He is a complete bully asshole. Yeah. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, you could hear it in what he just did to her. Over and over. She said, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to. Come on, come on, come on. If I could just get you to, and blah, blah, blah. No, Rocky, you're not a good cop at all.
And begging her. And that's what I wanted to say was to TJ. I don't know if he's still here. Thank you, Jack. Sorry, I know I said I was done, but I wanted to explain to TJ that the reason that Terri Morris was in the downtown in that office with Rocky Gregory to begin with, she had made the claim on May 24th that she had been raped by an Oklahoma City police officer. When Rocky pounded every door, him and Lieutenant Muzny went all over Oklahoma City downtown looking for her and in her police report, I showed the pages during the, as part of the clips, but he and Muzny went out, and it's really weird how Rocky documents exact times and everything that he went and talked to people on June 3rd, the morning of June 3rd. Actually, it might have been May. No, I think it was June 2nd or June 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, you'll go through and look through that police report, and you'll see all of these people and places that he contacted. Well, when he finally tracked her down and got a CI to inform, his handler of, where she was, Rocky races to the location and he starts talking to her, and she doesn't want anything to do with it. She tells him, I don't want to, I just want to move on with my life. And I'm not saying that, that's what she should have done or, had to do or anything else, but that was her choice at the time. I just want to move on with my life. I don't want to deal with this. I want to, basically in her state of mind at that point, I just want to go do my drugs and, do whatever I'm going to do and be left alone and put it out of my mind and forget about it. Well, Rocky wasn't having it. And he's trying to get her to talk to him about what happened, who it was, where it was, what exactly happened, what was the date, what was the time, what was the location. As far as he knows at that point, he knows that Daniel has stopped her on May 8th and that Jeff Sellers had stopped her prior to that on April 11th. He knows that already. That's the only reason why I feel like there was something in the back of Rocky's mind, this officer Daniel Holtzclaw, before June 18th. That's the only reason I think that, but that's just my opinion. Anyway, she's refusing, basically telling Rocky Gregory, fuck you, I don't want to do this. I want nothing to do with this. I'm out. Well, Rocky Gregory says to her, okay, well, then you're going to have to come downtown and sign a refusal to prosecute form, if you want me to drop this. And so under that guise, he, lures her downtown to headquarters to sign this refusal to prosecute form. And you could see how long it took him to actually let her sign that form. In the meantime, he is begging her. It was disgusting the way he begged her and bullied her and badgered her and manipulated her. And I felt sorry for Terri Morris in that interview. And I am of the belief that Terri Morris was sexually assaulted on Tuesday, May 20th or Wednesday, May 21st, downtown Oklahoma City. And just because there were no cops who had a, zero, stop time on their AVL or whatever, that doesn't mean that somebody, and it wasn't Daniel because they knew where Daniel was, didn't have their comms off and did that to her in the car that she said that the officer was in. And that wasn't Daniel's car, and they knew where Daniel was. So I believe she probably was sexually assaulted by somebody who either had their comms off, was off duty using their car, or an impersonator that sexually assaulted her. I believe she was sexually assaulted. I just don't believe it was by Daniel. And that doesn't make me feel like, she's still an accuser. She's still a liar because she went along with what they convinced her of or manipulated her to do. For all I know, to this very day, I'm sure, but all the way through her deposition, she's still adamant that it was, she even, if I'm not mistaken, and Kay or Cherie, you'll have to remind me, but I feel like she even said that it was the May 20th or 21st, but that it was Daniel Holtzclaw in her deposition. Anyway.
I remember she stuck to the date anyway, and the black and white police car, I think, too. I'm not sure
about the
rest of it.
Yes. Yeah, so she still lied. She got on the witness stand and lied, so she still lied on Daniel, so that I don't have any sympathy for, but I do believe, watching this video and listening to these other interviews that we'll listen to, I believe she was sexually assaulted by somebody who at least appeared to be an Oklahoma City police officer. So that's why she was there, TJ, to begin with. And if they had had a suspect that they could put their finger on for sure, you're right. They would have filed those charges against him anyway, whether she agreed to be a part of the case or not. But that wasn't at all what was going on in that interview with her and Rocky Gregory. Sorry, as Jack said that, it reminded me of what it was I wanted to say earlier. So anyway, Kay, final comments.
Oh, I don't really have any. I think I said it. I think I said it all.
Okay, fair enough.
I mean, I don't know.
Sheree?
I mean, it's just the way they put the investigation together and did this shit is flawed, to be the most kind. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Sheree?
I agree with both of you, or all three of you actually, that it just, every time I see this, it makes me angry that they did this to Daniel, and they, the way they treated her, and it was just cruel.
It was cruel.
I don't know how they sleep at night.
I don't either. And looking at Gigger's face and Lori McConnell's face on the news report was just disgusting and sickening to me. He's such a lying, hypocritical dickhole. Okay, thank you, Sheree. And Susan.
Yeah, I agree with all you. It's just it's heartbreaking what happened to Daniel, and just going through it over and just seeing exactly what they did is just so maddening. And I'll say good night, everybody. Thank you, Rhonda.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you. All right, I want to say thank you to everybody on the panel, of course. All of the people that were here in the chat, those of you who were able to stick around for the entire time, and all of the comments and questions are appreciated. And thank you so much to Kat for all the great links in both channels, Foul Play and in my chat as well. That's not necessarily an easy task to do, to be trying to post links into your chats.
That's because Kat's badass super mod.
The super mod for sure. Absolutely. I'm always happy when she pops in. It's awesome. Okay. So that's all we have for tonight. We're going to cover, like I said, the next two interviews next week, and then of course we'll get into looking at the preliminary hearing transcript and the trial
Testimony.
transcripts. Yeah. Yep.
Hey, I have one plug I'd like to throw out for Foul Play, if you don't mind.
I'm so sorry. Yes, I forgot. Well, we've been on a little bit of a break on Foul Play.
I know. I almost forgot too. I totally get it. Starting Saturday, Doc and everybody are back on. Well, all of us that can come. Starting back into Reading with the Crew with the release of Farak's new additional pages, chapters, whatever, of the Wrecking Crew. So you're not going to want to miss that. It's going to piss off a lot of people. Get that. But yeah, here we are. We're going to start on that on Saturday. And then on Sunday, we're probably going to go back into the 2005 depositions from where we left off on the open mic. I want to get back into those. I'd like to get them finished as soon as we can, because after that, I'm going to be presenting information we've covered it before, mainly on with Sunshine Christina when she had her podcast, but about Gregory Allen, and fill in some of this information that occurred in 2005 during the deposition. So anyway, that's on down the road. Saturday and Sunday, Reading with the Crew, an open mic, 5 p.m. Central. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jack. I will be in Vegas, as I mentioned earlier. And so if I'm not at a soccer tournament game, I will be able to join on Reading with the Crew and open mic. So we'll see.
Rhonda goes to Vegas, huh?
Yeah.
Rhonda goes to Vegas.
If you win big, remember, we're related. I'm your brother. Okay.
Oh, okay. Absolutely.
Just saying.
Absolutely.
Just saying. Okay.
Yeah, I know who my people are. Got your back. All right. This has been a great show tonight. Thank you for everyone on the panel and in the chat. And until next time, peace out.